There it is. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. This is a show where we talk about the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins, Boston Red Sox, and the New England Patriots. I am your host, Frank, with my other co host known as Negative Ned. His real name is Steve, but he's incognito today because he's probably really ticked off. But anyway, before we jump into the show, Steve, first of all, how are you doing and how's everything?
I'd be doing better if I wasn't computer illiterate and having all kinds of issues over here, but
But yeah,
we're working through it.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we had an interesting week in sports. I have to admit that some of the losses that I saw this past week, I thought were shocking. Some of the wins, were shocking also in almost all the sports. But before we even dive into that, let's get the Red Sox out of the way while we wait for people to join, and let's get that brief conversation in and out. And let's talk about what your thoughts are with the Red Sox free agency. We saw them do a couple of things, and Steve, the Red Sox, I think, have plants, and this is what I mean. I think they have plants in the media and in Boston sports media, for the for the Boston Globe, Boston Herald, and at 98.5 the Sports Hub, and at WEEI. And I'm gonna tell you why I think this, Steve. I think because when they want to put out a certain story to get people to believe it, you see a story pop up. Well, i.e., the Juan Soto story has been popping up for the last couple of days, and the Red Sox media is talking about, hey, the Red Sox are going to make a pitch, and they're talking in depth and trying to get into Juan Soto sweepstakes and all that stuff. I don't think a person who really follows baseball and a person who knows about the Boston Red Sox, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I don't think any of those people believe that for a second. Like, I know every time I heard it when I was listening to Sports Hub or WEI, I completely cut the radio off and I'm wanting to do something else because I thought it was just such hot trash stuff that I think they're trying to get you to believe. I think it's all based on them trying to get butts and seats in Fenway Park for next year. I don't think the way the ownership has been moving the last couple of years tells me anything that they're going to be in the Juan Soto sweepstakes for real, and that they're going to even put up any bid to even be considered for Juan Soto. Now, that's just my opinion. If you're sitting at home and you don't agree, or you think that the Red Sox definitely will be in it, please, in our comment section, after Steve posts this on YouTube, please let us know. Or you can let us know what you thought right now on Facebook as we're talking about this live. Steve, I will throw it to you. Do you honestly think that the Red Sox are in the Juan Soto talks, or will be in the talks, or will be in conversation, and will be in anything, shape, or form of even sitting in the neighborhood of Juan Soto? Because I definitely don't.
No, come on. Listen, seeing is believing, right? It's all been smoke and mirrors and a bunch of nonsense. The typical drivel that they've been giving us. Maybe they're supposed to be having a meeting with him next week, but even if they meet with him, when they find out he wants, a 500 or 600 million dollar contract, there's no way they're going to sign him. It's too far apart. We've been over this. If they didn't want to sign Mookie Betts, there's no way they're signing him.
Yeah, right. Now,
It's just smoke and mirrors garbage.
since you brought up Mookie Betts, because that's where the next thing I was going to go. Let me ask you this: what have you thought, and how disruptive would this be to Red Sox Nation? What do you think the core fan base would be? Supposedly, what if they did sign Juan Soto? Do you think that affects the fan base, people's thought process in any way about how they're doing business? If they did sign him and didn't sign Mookie Betts, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, for me personally, I'm still pissed off that they didn't sign Mookie Betts, because now you're paying a guy almost double what we're going to pay him. And you got a guy that's a franchise guy, homegrown guy, 5-tool player, all-star, champion, et cetera, et cetera. And now you got to go outside the box and overpay for a guy that he's a top 5 player probably. But now you got to overpay for him. And so let's say that they do what they should have. The fan base should be happy that they finally got, real and spent some real money. But one guy is not going to fix everything, and that's not what they need to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's a draw. He's going to be a draw like David Ortiz and Pedro and Manny. If they did that, it would be like when they signed Manny Ramirez first, before they got Pedro and David Ortiz. I mean, he's just
Mm-hmm.
a draw for the
Mm-hmm.
ballpark, which fine. I mean, look, they should do it. I've heard arguments against doing it because they need pitching badly, but you know,
Yeah, we're talking
I
hypothetically.
wouldn't be upset if they signed him. But I think if you look back and you're like, well, they could have had Mookie Betts and kept him. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just hypothetical. Personally, me, if they did sign Juan Soto, I'd probably be seriously considering never wearing Red Sox paraphernalia ever again and never going to Fenway Park ever again. Because, well, obviously, to me, if they did sign Juan Soto, to me, it'd be about you guys make some of the most irrational decisions, to move forward, and you don't know which way direction you're going in, because Mookie Betts literally can be talked about as the MVP of a couple of seasons, and he steered the Red Sox organization in a great way to get a World Series, and then he goes to the Dodgers and wins two of them. So I don't know, I'd be up in arms about that. But let's talk about now the Red Sox are trying to seem like they're trying to move forward with pitching and everything else. They signed a reliever, and I hear they're in talks with a couple of other middle relief, and they're trying to even bring back some other pitchers that they had formerly. You know what I mean? So, Steve, are you liking what direction they're going in? Because right now, to me, it still seems like bargain basement shopping. It doesn't seem like they're trying to get any top relief pitchers. They're getting a whole bunch of guys with 4, 5, and 6 ERAs, which doesn't seem like it's going to do much to me. But maybe they get a new pitching coach, and maybe they put together, because baseball, you never know. You know what I mean? You never know. But what's your thoughts?
My thought is they signed a guy today. It's another Ocean State job lot bum. He's got a 5.59 ERA last year.
Mm-hmm.
2 years before that, he had Tommy John surgery. He
Mm-hmm.
missed all of 2022. Sorry, he pitched last year. He's 37 years old. He's a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
How are you fixing the bullpen signing a guy like this?
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me that maybe Chris Martin's on his way out, who's been one of their better relievers, who's 38 or 39 years old. So you're replacing, and I'm just speculating because his contract is up, and I haven't heard that they want him back or he's coming back. So you're replacing one old guy with another old guy, and the old guy you just re-signed is worse than the guy that's leaving. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like more of the same nonsense. We again need to see real signings before we can believe that they're changing their ways over there. I already said it before, and I'm going to say it again. They should, at this very point, change the name of the ballpark to Ocean State Job Lot Park, because that's what they have in the ballpark.
Steve, you know what I think they need? I think they need new ownership. I think they need ownership who cares. I really think that's the end of the only way we're going to see anything change, or else we're going to be on this trajectory where we're going to be one of the worst teams in the league and stay that way, for a while. I think that's what they need to do. I think that ownership needs to change hands. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Well, we agree. I mean, we've been talking about it too. I mean, we know he's not really invested in winning anymore. He's just invested in the portfolio and making sure that they don't lose money. So, I have a funny feeling that, you're right. And maybe after he gets the NBA franchise in Las Vegas that he wants, maybe then he'll sell the team, because he'll have
Mm-hmm.
a bigger fish to fry. But for right now, all the yapping that these guys have been doing between, Heim Bloom 2.0 there, Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy. It's just all talk, and can't believe anything. I mean, they're in on everybody, right? It's free agent. They're at the winter meetings.
Mm-hmm.
There is interest in Teoscar Hernandez, who was with the Dodgers this year, won the World Series. He signed for $20.5 million. They paid Tyler O'Neill 21, but they didn't want to give him years. They didn't want to give him, a 3 or 4 year, 5-year contract. I think he's 32. You can't give him a 4-year deal at 21 million. I mean, you're basically replacing Tyler O'Neill with a guy that's better, and he's a better defender. I mean, I would do that. But they have interest in bringing back Nathan Eovaldi. So that's all. Oh, they're interested in this guy and they're interested in that guy. Oh, we didn't get him. It's going to be more of the same until they actually stop, handing out some checks. It's not changing.
Right. So far, you haven't said anything I disagree with. I'm just trying to figure out why we get ready to close this thing up. I'm seriously trying to figure out what directive that the Red Sox are trying to go to And ultimately, I think we've discussed it several times on several shows. Right now, I think they just, like last year and this year around this time, what they did was they keep putting out conversations of what they're going to do and how they're going to build up the season. Season rolls around, they don't do anything. I think they get people hyped up around, obviously around the winter meetings because they get ready to do this, and then people start purchasing season tickets in a bulk, right, Steve? They buy them, and around this time, it's like, oh, look, the Red Sox are ready to do this and that. Oh, let me get my tickets now because they create the furor, you know what I mean, and the buzz, and then people go ahead and 75% of the season ticket holders, they purchase the tickets around this time for the following season because of what they think and what they hope is going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Steve, I'll
Well,
give
we
you the
said
closing
it.
word on that. Hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to give you the closing word and your thoughts on this before we move on.
It's the same as it's been until people stop going, and the ballpark has 10,000 fans less per year. Nothing's going to change. They know they're going to sell out the ballpark in the summertime. It's a tourist attraction,
Yeah.
and you know what? They'll just book more concerts. I mean, they're booking concerts probably to fill in the gaps for the lack of whatever attendance and whatever viewership they've been getting. They'll just book more concerts, and it's just a venue. It's a tool now for them to generate revenue. The team is
Hmm.
not even the main attraction anymore. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, really. All right, so let's continue to move this show along. Like I said, this show is called Boston Straight Shooters, where we talk about the Boston Red Sox, Boston Bruins, Boston Celtics, New England Patriots. And now I think we need to talk about the New England Patriots because they surprised both me and you with the win over the Chicago Bears. And I don't think you picked. No, you didn't pick. You picked the Bears. I picked the
I
Bears.
picked the
And I'll be
Bears.
honest with you, I picked the Bears because of how I had seen them play 2 weeks prior, not the week prior, 2 weeks prior, before, when I saw them get that devastating loss with the Hail Mary from Washington. I thought the Bears was going to turn it around and continue to move forward in the right direction. I didn't think that one game was going to basically split them down the middle on destroying their team and their chemistry and their offensive coordinator, who I think now got fired. And just I didn't think the team was going to go in the wrong direction. I thought they were going in the right direction. I thought they were going to put it together and stomp on the Patriots. What happened was the Patriots were the one to put it together. And Steve, the funny thing is, after Jared Mayo called the Patriots soft, they've been playing a hell of a lot better since he called them soft. Now, I didn't see that happening either. But let's get back to the game. Caleb Williams didn't do too good. Drake May did phenomenal. I watched a lot of the game. A little bit I did miss. I watched highlights. Steve, I think every player on the New England Patriots except Drake May is expendable. It's tradable. I think that because I think you should build from him. Now I don't like his turnovers, but I did do something over the. This is what I did do. See, I compared his numbers after so many games to the Bills QB after Josh Allen after so many games, and Drake May is better than him by a good 25%. And I think everybody wants to compare him, Drake May, to Tom Brady. I think he's more like Josh Allen than he is. I literally think he's got a lot of Josh Allen qualities in him than he does Tom Brady because he'll run in a second. He'll do all these things that he'll do in a second to keep the thing going. You know what I mean? That's what he'll do. And I just gotta say, just got a news flash. Mike Tyson just slapped Jake Paul.
What?
Mike Tyson just slapped Jake Paul in a meeting. It just flashed across my screen. I just wanted to say that. Maybe we should discuss that stupid boxing match. Maybe it's all
That's
hype for the.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's the one coming on Netflix. But I just saw it just now, flashed across my screen. Anyway, jump back in. What are your thoughts on this right now, Steve? Do you think he's do you disagree with anything I said right now? And then let's talk about the game. Do you think he's another like a Josh Allen mutant
We're in
type of guy? What's
we're
your
in
thoughts?
agreement. We're in
Yeah,
agreement as far as that goes. He's more athletic than Tom Brady.
yeah,
He
definitely.
has running capability like Steve Grogan. And I'm going back to the 70s now. I mean, that guy
Yeah,
was one of the early running quarterbacks. Him and Fran Tarkington at that
yeah,
time. And I'm going back further than people might remember, but I would say Josh Allen. There's a lot of Josh Allen comparisons being thrown around in sports media and so forth. Uh, he has escapability. He has uh, the ability to escape and run and make plays with his legs. Uh, and we've seen great quarterbacks over the years be able to do that. John Elway, Steve Young. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to do a history thing here, but
Mm.
I would say that as far as the Patriots beating the Bears, and I don't know if you're ready for this yet, but I think that Drake May, listen, he's infused some spark in them. That's what they needed.
Right.
They needed somebody to really take command, and they really needed to be able to open up the playbook and have somebody be able to throw the ball downfield. And again, we're not knocking Brissett, but it definitely looks different, and I do believe that having him sit earlier in the year has helped him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just reached a point where, look, they need to get a guy in there that can throw for 200 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns in a game. Again, the mistakes, you got to live with him because he's a rookie. He made a horrible throw on the guy that undercut the route there. That's going to happen. But at least it doesn't look as bad as Mac Jones. Like, they keep replaying the one where against the Colts, he kind of floated it near the end zone. I mean, it wasn't that bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? So listen, you got to live with the mistakes. I think that's been way more good than bad. So,
And he's taking
there's a
chances.
lot of there's
Yeah.
a lot of optimism. Yeah, we have to take chances. All the quarterbacks
Yeah.
have to take chances. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you can't do anything. I mean, they weren't taking enough chances with Brissett.
Right.
And they couldn't block good enough for him to make plays and so on and so forth. And we can go back. But going forward, I think that the offensive line has played better. Is it perfect? No. It doesn't look as bad as it did when they just couldn't block at all.
Right.
And they're better. I mean, look, they ran the ball effectively and they pass blocked better. They're still going to take, 6, 7, 8, 9 penalties in the game. I don't think that that's going to go away anytime soon. But hopefully the group they put out there is the group that can stay again, so you can get the cohesiveness and stop, having a different set of 5 guys every week.
Mm-hmm.
Should help. But there's optimism. I mean, look, Drake May, his trajectory should be up. And I'm excited to see him continue. And the Josh Allen comparisons, I mean, maybe pump the brakes on. I mean, if you're just looking at something and say, okay, he comps to him, yeah, but he's got a ways to go. Even Josh
Mm-hmm.
Allen in his first few years, really struggled. He wasn't very good until it was probably his 3rd year. So, look, Patriots have a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than Mac Jones. He's in a better situation than Mac Jones, even though even though it doesn't look or feel like a better situation. I think it's better than last year. He how do I phrase this? His ability to adjust and stay calm and not get rattled, that's huge. His pocket presence, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I mean, you could go on and on, whatever. He's going to make mistakes. They're going to play better teams. When they play the Bills, he won't look like Josh Allen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, but I got to say this: Christian Barmore looks like he's coming back this week. The Patriots have needed him to definitely come back. They're getting ready to set up to play against the Rams. The crazy thing about this is I don't know how I'm feeling because if you had asked me after 3-game losing streak that they had and everything, I just thought they'd get slaughtered. But I got to admit, Drake May's making these games interesting, and he is getting better. No matter what you feel about the Patriots and what are you thinking about the overall situation about the play calling and how you feel about the coaching. And I'm talking about myself and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, talking about bringing all these things up. The Patriots are getting better every single week. You know what I mean? You could literally see small little things that they're creating is a little bit better here and a little bit better there. Whereas before I was saying nothing but them getting worse. Christian Barmore should be able to help hold it down in the running game against the Rams. But the Rams, I watched the last game the Rams played. They looked explosive. Even though they lost, I think it was to the Dolphins. They did look explosive with certain things. They did have their act together on a lot of things, and they got a lot of great guys who on the defensive side of the ball who are playing phenomenal, even though they're 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, and 6th round draft picks. The Rams, they do present a problem. Can the Patriots beat them? I think they can. Will they beat them? I'm not so sure because it could be a bounce back game for the Rams, and that's probably what it will happen. But I think the Patriots will make it definitely competitive versus how they were playing 4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? 4 or 5 weeks ago. What are your thoughts on this, Steve? Do you think the Patriots make it competitive? Do you think Van Pelt will mix it up, or is he going to still do the same horrible play calling that he's been doing? And then Drake May takes over. What's your thoughts?
I don't know that the play calling is going to get any better, but it's the execution, right? So if they can't block, if the Rams defense is as good as you say it is, now they don't have Aaron Donald anymore, but it all depends on how they execute and whether they can block and run the ball. If they become one-dimensional and they run, 18 times for 21 yards or whatever, and Drake May's got to do it all, they got no shot. But if they can run the ball, and listen, I'm worried about the Rams because they have weapons. You got Matthew
Mm-hmm.
Stafford back there. You got Cooper Kupp back. You got, I guess the guy's name, Puka Nacua or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? So listen, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Uh, obviously, not take them lightly, but the key for the Patriots is, can they continue to maintain progress even if they lose? If they lose by 7 or less and they keep the game competitive, it's a good sign,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not the result we want, obviously, but if they go back to getting their doors blown off by 20 like they did against Houston, I'd be concerned.
Mm. Were there any things that when you took away from the game against Chicago? Was there anything that alarms went off you saying, "Oh my God, this is not the way direction I'm like"? And because my only alarm out of that game was I'm still very upset with the play calling. I'm still not liking any of the thing that Van Pelt is drawing up for the Patriots do. But what I am liking in that from the play calls that he is calling, even though I hate that, is Drake May will see that the pocket will collapse or see that the play won't work, and he'll take off. Like he has his own mind saying this is not going to, and he's taking chances. You know what I mean? He's taking chances. So
There's one
what do
thing
you
I
think?
don't like is all the screens and the bubble screens and whatnot. I mean,
Yeah.
who's number 4, Gibson? He went to go throw a screen to him, and the guy was already on him. Like he barely even got the ball. Like the sideways stuff, the old like Troy Brown sideways, like, and then use it as a run thing. That's not working for these guys. They can't scheme it up or block it correctly. So I want to see less of that. Like, look, we talked about them needing a third down back. They have one. Gibson can be the third down back or whatever, and you got to draw it up right and use it at the right times, though. Like if the line can't block it, then you can't use it. You know what I mean? Those are
Hmm.
I guess that would be the one red flag that I have, is as
But
far as this play calling goes, is that we need to be able to have the screens as part of the offense. But if the guys can't execute it properly, then you got to throw it out of the playbook. You got to try something else.
But also, if the word is out that the Patriots do this amount of screens, and they set so many different signals to alert people that they're about to do a screen and everything else, the Patriots might have a better chance. If the defense knows you're going to do a screen every time, they're going to do an all-out blitz and they're going to get you. I don't think too many teams can block that. And it looks like, as I said before, the one thing the Patriots do is they keep calling the same type of plays, and they've had more blitzes called against them than any other team in the league. And why is that? Because they keep continuing to do the bubble and the sideways screens, and everybody knows that they're going to do screens.
That's
So
not the only thing, though. That it's also because the line has had so much difficulty blocking
I'm
that
not
they
saying it was
know
the
that
only
if they
thing. I'm
blitz,
not. I'm not saying it's the only thing. All I'm saying is that when everybody knows it's all you do, you know what I mean. If you, like you're saying, they have difficulty, blocking. Why keep continuing to do the exact same play calling? Why not change it up and throw the ball 3 yards, 5 yards down the field instead of throwing the yard literally lateral to a running back or even a tight end that's right here doing the screens. Everybody knows you're going to do it. So if everybody knows you're going to do it, that makes sure that the defense is going to come up and press up and going to blitz you because they know you're going to do it. You do it all the time. That's all I'm saying. So
no,
it
no, you're
just
right. You are absolutely correct. I also think that part of the reason they blitz as much as they do is because they know the Patriots
right.
can't block it. So,
That's
you might
yeah.
have, regardless of what you call, whether it's a screen or, a slant or whatever it is, if everything is one dimensional or all the plays look the same and they don't mix it up and they don't take some deep shots and they don't do some play action, like, look, they did that half-ass razzle dazzle, flea
Mm-hmm.
flicker thing that they did. I liked it. Now look, you're mixing it up a little bit. Even if it doesn't work, you're at least trying something. What did they get? 8, 9 yards? Didn't get 40 yards on it, but that's okay. I like that. I mean, we need to see, not a whole bunch of gimmick plays, but we need to see them get outside the box and not be so one-dimensional, so the other teams pick it up right away
Right.
and
Right.
blitz. And that's why they're blitzing as much as they are. The
Mm-hmm.
play calling definitely needs to be better, but so does the execution, and they go hand in hand. His ability to call different plays depends on whether they can block it or not. I guess that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to say.
Hot topic. What I heard on the radio last couple of days was Alex Van Pelt has been probably the biggest reason why Drake May has been improving from week to week and everything. And should he get the credit? I wish I could have gotten through. Well, I didn't even call the station, but if I had taken the time to call the station, I would have let them have it by even asking that question. Because if you ask me, Drake May is responsible for Drake May's improvement. I mean, I think the kid is studying and seeing things, and when he sees it, I think he takes advantage of it. I don't, and maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think Van Pelt should get any of the credit on his development because all the stuff that he's doing that's phenomenal is when the plays break down. You know what I mean? He's not. I don't see any plays that are called. Okay, on this, as soon as we call the ball, Drake May's running. I don't see those kind of plays. He's going to run to the left. He's going to run to the right. He's going to run up the middle. I see Drake May having the plays break down, and then he's taking it upon himself, and he takes it off, and he does something that you don't see. Something he just creates on the cuff. That's the way I see it. So, Steve, I'll throw you the question: do you think Van Pelt is literally the reason why Drake May is progressing, and should Van Pelt be getting the credit for his development?
I think he probably deserves a little bit of credit, but they do have a quarterback coach, right? So maybe that guy's more responsible. I mean, they talked a lot early in camp about his footwork not being right, so forth, and some of that's been corrected.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that he's seeing things when the pocket breaks down, but on those plays where he hit Butte at the end of that half and for a 40-yard bomb, and those plays where he hits Hunter Henry for a 35-yard play, I think that there's a combination of, look, I understand Drake May's making the plays, but I think there's a combination of some coaching involved
Mm-hmm.
because they have to teach him, like, okay, here's what do you do when you see this? What do you do when you see that? And
Mm-hmm.
how's your footwork? And how's your mechanics and whatnot? So, I mean, he doesn't get all the credit, but he's got to get some. I mean, you can't just say it's all Drake May. Somebody's teaching him something. The coaches are there not just to call the plays; they're there to teach the guys things. And so, I'm willing to give the coaching staff a little bit of credit, whether it's the coach, whether it's Van Pelt, or the quarterback coach, or both. I think if he had started the year and came out flat and played like garbage, and then all of a sudden he improved, and I don't know. I feel that they do go hand in hand a little bit. That they have to get a little bit of credit. Not that Alex Van Pelt is like all of a sudden, like Doug Peterson, he's a quarterback whisperer and he's responsible for Drake May being all pro quarterback. But like Josh McDaniels with Mac Jones the first year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can definitely see that a majority of the credit had to have gone to Josh McDaniels because he was, calling plays that he could execute. That's another factor.
Well, I'm going on record that I can't stand Alex Van Pelt, and I'm not giving him no credit. So
All right. Well, let me put it this way, and I heard some of the sports radio stuff too about like the ownership going to other teams or talking to people about how to move forward with Drake May and what kind of tips or tricks they could get and this and that, and whether or not Van Pelt is going to be back next year. And so maybe we put this up as a poll question at some point again, multiple times through the season, is whether or not he'll be back or whether you want him back. I know you probably don't want him back, but most people probably don't want him back. But there is something to be said for changing out the offensive coordinator too many times and stunting the growth of the quarterback. And some teams, they change the offensive coordinator so frequently that you can ruin a guy quick.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 4 or 5 offensive coordinators now in 5 years here in New England. And if you take Alex Van Pelt out and put somebody else in, it's kind of a bad sign. Look at Chicago. They fired theirs, and now they
Yeah.
got another guy. And now, you know what? At the end of the year, they might fire the head coach too, and he might wind up with a new head coach and another offensive coordinator. Williams there might end up with 3 offensive coordinators in the span of not even a season. So we're going to have to wait and see how the rest of the season goes. I agree with you. If the play calling still sucks and it's still doing that sideways nonsense and it's not working and they're not making improvements and they're not getting 20 points in a game the rest of the way and all this stuff, But if they show improvement, I could see him coming back.
Well, unfortunately, Chicago had they had a whole lot much more higher hopes because they put together a great team. They got Keenan Allen. I mean, from Keenan Allen to what's the other wide receiver? They basically got three top wide receivers, three number ones on the team. Their problem was they didn't address the offensive line. So Caleb Williams is getting destroyed. And I don't know how you build a team. The funny thing is, Steve, is these guys are in football. They played football. They've been in football in one way, shape, or form for 20, 30 years. These general managers, they get there and they overlook the offensive line. That just
Well, let me
blows me away.
interject for let me stop you for half a second. 3 of their starters were out against the Patriots.
No, I know that.
So,
That was now.
but they,
That was
so they
now.
were so they were playing. They were playing against Washington when they blew the lead late in the game. But I look at it and I'm like, okay, now we know what it looks like when the shoe's on the other foot, because the
Mm-hmm.
Patriots offensive line looked like garbage most of the time. The Patriots made them look like garbage because they can't afford to lose 3 starters on the offensive line. Most teams can't,
Right.
because and so to your point, I would say not just the Chicago GMs, I'd say most of the GMs don't have the next man up guy ready at those
Yeah,
spots.
yeah. I wouldn't
And
say
so
Chicago. I was saying
the
most. I'm
shoot,
saying most GMs. I'm saying most GMs.
well,
Like
well,
they're
listen,
overlooking.
you have to just take it with a grain of salt. The Patriots beat a team that had an offensive line that was in worse shape than theirs for a week, and
Well,
it looked like we were watching the Patriots, except it was on the other side.
and the Patriots got 9 sacks on the team. I can't remember the last time the Patriots got 9 sacks on anybody, and they threw the
I don't
stats
know.
up. I threw the stat. They threw the stats up saying it happened in 2020 or was it 2021? I was like, I don't even believe it was that soon. Honestly, I don't remember that being that soon. Against the Colts, I think it was. I was like, I don't remember that at all. And I watched every Patriots game, but
I don't either. I know. It just shows you how we're getting old, Frank. Can't remember
yeah,
everything.
yeah. I was like, I don't remember that, and I watched every page, and I circled a lot of ones with the Colts because that was what the Colts said about the Patriots. So my memory is better against the Colts than almost the Colts and the Jets. I remember almost everything, and I don't remember that game at all. But all right. Anyway, we want to move on. I want to definitely get a chance to talk about the Boston Bruins because the Boston Bruins have been um, they've been on shaky waters. You know what I mean? They've been on, and then the turbulent waters seem to cease for a little bit. Then they got shaky again, and then they get turbulent. So, um, talk to me about the Bruins. What was your biggest shocker in the last 7 days from what we did last week? What was your biggest positive thing about the Bruins, and what was your biggest negative about the Bruins in the last 7 days?
Well, I'll start with the positive because I get a lot of flack for being too negative. Uh, I'm serious. I get a lot of heat now because
You're doing
um,
right. You're doing right. You're doing right. Then keep going.
I got so listen. They played a game a couple nights ago against St. Louis, and they were down 2-0, and they
Mm-hmm.
came back and scored 3 goals in the third period. Now I didn't see it because I'm old and I dozed off.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to come back after being flat the previous game, there's been games and spurts where they've been flat and okay, flat and okay, and
Right.
for them to be down and turn it around and get the W, uh, that's a good sign. I would take that as a positive sign that they did that. Negative, 0 shots in the third period against Ottawa, totally unacceptable. They got 16 shots for the whole game or something like that. And we talked about last week that it feels like there's something going on there where they just can't do anything. And I don't know if it's just something in the locker room or just them or whatever, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. You can't have 0 shots one game and then be down 2-0 and come back. I mean, they have fight in them. So that's encouraging. I mean, considering some of the bad play, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're taking too many penalties. They're not generating enough offense. They're not getting shots on goals. Their penalty killing's been bad. Their defense has been bad. I mean, I could go on. They're still, listen, this aggravates me to no end. I'm going to keep hopping on it. They still give up goals in the last minute of the periods against Ottawa. 7 seconds left. They give up a goal. I'm like, what is wrong with this? This is not new. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
new, and they can't fix it. Nobody can fix it. So, uh, there's definitely some frustration. I hope that, with some of the new line combinations that maybe they found something that will help them going forward.
Right. Remember,
So we'll see.
remember I questioned you a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago to be exact. Matter of fact, it was 2 weeks ago, and I said to you that sometimes there are things that happen on certain teams, that teams that play flat, or they have a great team, almost identical team, and they end up not being nowhere near as good. So I'm bringing this up because the Bruins demoted some players. They sent some players down. Do you think by them sending some players down, that sent the right message that they wanted to send to the other players on the team? Or do you think they sent down a couple of guys who were the bad eggs on the team? Am I overlooking something else? What do you think?
I don't think they were bad eggs. I think that they just had a lack of production. I mean, Matt Poitras, young kid, showed some serious promise last year. He just hasn't really done anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't really think they're sending anybody a message. If they really wanted to send a message, they'd start trading some guys. That
Mm-hmm.
would be like a wake up call. Again, and I'm gonna keep picking on him because you've been playing like crap. Brandon Carlo. You
Mm-hmm.
trade a guy like that's been here for 6 years probably. A veteran guy now. Uh, those are the kind of things that says that there's a so. If he was a bad egg in the locker room and he got traded or demoted, then maybe I would agree with you. But the guys that they sent down just weren't producing, and I don't think that they're bad eggs.
Mm-hmm.
They have to shake things up too. You have to. So the guy they brought up from Providence is Tyler Johnson. He's a 34-year-old guy. He was on Tampa. He's got some Stanley Cups in his back pocket. I think they probably wanted to give Poitras more of a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking 15 games in now, or 16 games, whatever it is, and he's not giving them what they need. And so you bring the other guy up, give him a chance. He's a veteran, and hopefully he can help. I mean, that's uh, he's been trying to sit guys, uh, that aren't producing first, and then reinsert them back in the lineup. Sometimes that helps when you sit in the press box for a game or two. Like I said, short of actually trading players off the current roster, I think that they're kind of stuck with what they have, and he's just going to have to keep mix matching guys, and you know, sending a bad egg down to Providence. If that was the case, you would know who it was,
Right.
right? That was causing a disruption in the locker room. And again, some of the new guys, and I'll use Zadarov, who's the defenseman they signed. Again, the guy I wanted because I wanted size back there. He just looks lost. Like he has not fit into what they're trying to do. He's not. It's almost like he's overdoing it. You know how sometimes guys try too hard. He's trying too hard to be a physical presence instead of letting it come to him. If you look at Zdeno Chara, for as big as he was, he didn't go looking for the contact unless he had to.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's like trying to do it. He's like trying to push every guy through the boards on every single play. It's like, dude, wait a minute. Let it come to you. Take the hits when they come. He totally whiffed on a goal against Ottawa. Uh, he was the only guy in front. There was a guy in the corner, and there was a guy behind him. He went in the corner to go chase the guy. The guy passes out in front, scores on Swayman. The guy, he's wide open in the slot. Like, you can't make those kind of mistakes, and those are the kind of things that are kind of messing them up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, and I should have, that he's been on like 6 teams in 6 years or whatever. So, to your point about a bad egg, maybe there's something behind that. That teams didn't keep him around, but
Maybe he made too many clumsy plays like that, and they got sick of it. You know what I mean? Because managers and coaches and guys like that, they see that one play too many. It could just you and I both know it can unravel a team, and you're trying to get the team to go together. And you can't. One thing about sports, Steve, you can't be too clumsy. You could be clumsy, have one play here and there, but if you have too many of them, they might think you're the bad luck guy and get you the hell out of there.
he's had more than his share already so far, and so I'm sure that there's more people calling for him to probably not play. Maybe he needs to sit for a game. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Put him in the press box, let him see during a game.
Mm-hmm.
But right now they can't do that because I don't know if or when you were going to get to this, but they did suffer an injury with the loss of Lindholm, and so
Mm-hmm.
you can't take him out of the lineup now.
Right.
So
Right.
that
Now
doesn't
you're
work.
stuck with him. Now, what's going to be bad is when his nickname is Happy Gilmore. Then everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, we got a Happy Gilmore in the Boston
Happy
Bruins." Like,
Happy Gilmore. Yeah, that's not a good sign. That's definitely not a good sign.
yeah. Yeah. So
But I
that all
heard
makes
that
sense.
I just want to say this real quick. I heard on sports radio today that uh, somebody thinks that Lindholm fractured his kneecap. So
That would make a lot of sense if it did
it's
happen.
it's
Yeah.
been speculated that when Montgomery said weeks, that's what he was referring to, and I kind of understand that. So you know now you're missing him for 6 weeks. You can't sit Zadar off.
Mhm.
It's not gonna work. That's a
Last
big
question.
loss. He was playing good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll say last question of the Bruins, and let's keep it in 60 seconds. Should the Bruins make a trade before the trade deadline right now to see if it can jolt their team? What you thoughts?
I'm all about trading. Look, the only guy I would not trade on the roster right now is Pasternak. Everybody else, it's fair game. I don't care if it's Swayman. I don't care if it's Zadorov or the new guy, Marchand. Listen, if they're still playing flat and you want to make a spark and get ahead of the game, and not wait until March,
Mm-hmm.
because you might not have a season by then. So I'm for making a splash and shaking up the chemistry and luck. That's a eye opener, and I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I meant to ask you, should they make the trade? My point of that question was, should they make the trade now instead of waiting to, February, March? Like, should
Correct.
they
You know
make it?
something
Yeah.
we can do, Frank? We can use that as a poll question. I'll put it out there.
Yeah. Should, in your opinion, do you think? Because I think they should. Honestly, I think they should
I do
before the
too.
season gets too far away from you. Because if you make it by February or March, your season's already over. You know which way you're going to go. You know what I mean? So
I think they're
sometimes
trying to get to Thanksgiving is what they're trying to do, because you get a 20 game or so sample. It's a big enough sample, but you know, in uh, long story short, if they're still having malaise or flat or whatever, and you should pull the trigger. You shouldn't wait till Thanksgiving. It shouldn't be like that.
right. All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics. Then we got to get to the pro questions. Then we got to get to the picks and everything else. And we got to post some picks and poll questions for the following week. So let's jump into the Boston Celtics real fast. Steve, I know you've been at least paying attention to the Celtics. I definitely have been. They blew out the Nets last night, but they blew out the Nets because the shots were dropping. They lost to the Hawks by one because the shots weren't dropping. But I will say this about the Celtics, and I'm seeing this ugly head rear its head out there every now and then. So you can't say I didn't say it either, Steve. The Celtics are getting bored. They're really getting bored as a team, and if they're getting bored a little bit too early in the season for me, that's what I think I'm having an issue with. That's one thing, and I'm loving what Joe Mazzulla's doing with mix matching the roster. Like before, it seemed like he was scared to disrupt it. Now he's throwing in all kinds of guys, all kinds of mixes and matches. Like he'll go small, or he'll go big, or he'll have all his best shooters out there. I'm loving it. And Jason Tatum said today, or no, last night after the Nets game, he said we have the best bench in the league. And I was like, you know what? I thought about it. I went down the list of, after a while, I was like, you know what? He's absolutely right. He's not just saying it as, because he's biased. It's a statistical fact. The Boston Celtics do have the best bench in the league, and Missoula must know that. Hence the reason why he's doing so many mixes and matches. Him playing that way, Peyton Pritchard playing this way, they can give guys like Porzingis, they can give Jaylen Brown an extended time off. They can put Al Horford. They can say, okay, you guys, each particular guy, you could take 3 or 4 games off and get really healed. Versus another NBA team, you'll come back before your injuries completely healed and you're gonna play. You know what I mean? And the other great thing about it is they're not paying attention to the every other game off thing. You know what I mean? Jason Tatum and these guys, they're all rotating, so everybody's playing. Um, I guess my question to you, Steve, is going to be: do you think that the Celtics are going to get too bored too soon, like I do? Do you think they're going to, be able to still maintain their focus? Because my friend, Kevin and I talk about this too. He thinks the Celtics going to be able to maintain their focus and be able to keep steam. I think that, I went on record before the season. I said I think they're going to win 70 games. What I did not think of was that the Celtics are going to get bored this soon. I thought they'd get bored around January, February. You know what I mean? But we're still in November, and they're getting really bored. What's your thoughts, Steve?
Uh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're getting bored. I mean, and I don't think they should be. I mean, they have to realize there's a target on their back, and the the tournament now that has started, that NBA Cup thing,
Yeah.
right? And so that's a game where you're up by, I don't know, 10, 15, whatever it is against the Hawks, and you got bored, or I mean, look, the shots just weren't dropping. Even when they were winning, they weren't going in, and then the second half they really weren't going in. The other team got hot, but that's a that's a game where if you're serious about, you know, uh, making a statement, so to speak, and they blew the Hawks out by 30 or whatever it was a week before.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you really want to, show your dominance, you're not going to let them, creep back in. You should be putting the pedal to the metal and get finish the job off. Now, I understand too. So I watched the pregame before that game, and I watched it again last night. And Eddie House was on there, and he was talking about how those play-in games mean more to the lesser guys on the team
Right.
because they're going to get big bucks. They're going to get $500,000. And
Right.
so for some of the older guys like Tatum and Brown that have these big contracts, and I'm just picking them because they're the Celtics, but other teams have those guys. And so maybe a team like the Hawks has more younger guys or guys that are not making big money. So it means more to them to try to win the tournament. And the Celtics just like, yeah, whatever. And I'm okay with them not killing themselves in the stupid NBA Cup and focus on winning a championship. I'd rather have that. So
Right.
I'm not upset as I would be normally that they lost, but it's obvious, and we've overstated it for 3 years now, going on year 3 here
Right.
since we've been doing the show. When they go in, it's great. When they don't go in, it sucks. And they're 18 for 55 or whatever it is, and they only needed to make 3 more buckets and they would have won the game, or 1 more bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night they're shooting, and it's almost 50% they're going in, and it looks easy. So we're gonna have to take the good with the bad, and maybe, how do I phrase this? Maybe we get better play from them against better teams like Milwaukee. They were down by 17, they came back. When they play Cleveland next week, I would not expect them to be bored or try to,
No, they'll be
take,
excited to play that game.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think the competition has something to do with it. I think that because they blew Atlanta out the first game 30, maybe they thought it was going to be easy, and they didn't have Trey Young. Is that the kid's name?
That's what I mean. They got bored. Yeah.
Right. So they got bored. But then yesterday they're like, all right, well, we may be bored, but we can't take another night off. Let's go.
Yeah, and let's say too, the Nets gave them a problem before, so they knew it was going to be a problem team. But when they blow out Atlanta, you blow them up by 30 and everything else. It's really hard for them to get motivated. That's human nature. But I promise you, when they play Cleveland, they're going to have all hands on deck because everybody's looking at Cleveland right now. Let's be honest, Cleveland's what, 13-0. Cleveland is the
Something like that.
only undefeated team in the league. They're the hottest team in the league. Nobody's going to be able to. People are predicting them to upset the Celtics. The Celtics are hearing that. You know what I mean? And right now they got the number 1 seed, and the Celtics also know that a key component of them winning the NBA championship was having the number 1 seed and playing and having the best record in the NBA. Because when you have the best record, when it comes playoff time, you have home court advantage, and home court advantage was in their favor throughout their run when they when they won to the finals. You know what I mean? So when they won it all, so I think they're going to probably get refocused. I think Joe Mazzulla's going to probably try to figure out how to get them back online and figure this out. Last question about the Celtics, and I want to move off. Joe Mazzulla put up something, Steve, and I literally very rarely does somebody say something to me and I go, wow, this is a really good idea. Really, really good idea. NBA based. You know what I mean? Joe Mazzulla's talking about the cup. He said, if we're going to do the cup, what we should do is have these games not count against the schedule, like the cup. When when you're playing the games right now in the cup games, those games count against your record. You know what I mean, playing for the season. But he said they should have. He said 2 things. One, the NBA should have teams play and the games not be counted to the record, and they should have European teams come in and play for that cup like soccer does. You know what I mean? And I was like, and then you should have maybe 6 or 9 teams come over, and then the winner of that is the winner of the actual cup, which could be could be the world champ, because now the teams are motivated in the NBA to play against the other overseas teams that are coming here in the States to play, or the teams are going over, to play overseas, depending on how the schedule works out. I don't know. I didn't think that far through. But I absolutely love that idea because when you say you're the NBA champ, you're saying you're the NBA world champ. And if you are literally, you beat all the overseas teams like in the Olympics, that literally applies. And I love the idea. Now that I threw it out there to you and you hear this, what do you think?
I hate it.
Okay. Why?
So the NHL has this coming in January or February. They have a 4-team tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They have to shut the league down for 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 4 teams can play each other for this cup or whatever it is that they're playing for, a championship. And so you're going to shut the NBA down for a week or two while you have this tournament, and none of the games are going to count. And who's playing? Like, how many teams are going to be in this cup?
Well,
So
the way he said it, all the teams would be in it, like how they're doing the cup now, like how they do the cup now. Except you have the European teams will play the other games also combined with it. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
I
ahead.
think that messes up their schedule. I mean, listen, part of the reason they did this cup is so that the league, the teams would not stop, but try to minimize the rest. You know,
Right.
I'm taking a game. What the maintenance days off,
Right.
right? So they're like, all right, well, look, we're gonna have this cup, and your guys are gonna play in the cup unless they're seriously hurt, like Porzingis, or they have to have like a real injury. You can't just be like, okay, here's a cup game, and I'm gonna sit Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just for the hell of it. Like, I think they're trying to drum up interest in their own games, in their own league. That's why they count.
Right.
One thing I don't like about this cup, and so I'll answer the rest of your question before as far as the other teams coming in, but I want to address what I heard just before we came on, is that this cup thing drags out for like a month. So it's
Oh,
like
really?
they played a cup game yesterday, not yesterday. They played the cup game against Atlanta, and then last night's game was not a cup game. And then their
Right.
next cup game is Cleveland, and then after that, it's the following week. There's another cup game, and so on and so forth. That drags out until like the middle of December. Like, that's stupid. I want them to
Right.
rectify that. Every game they play, when they start it, it should be every game played is a cup game, and it goes on until somebody wins the cup. If you really want to draw interest, now they're dragging it out. Nobody knows which game's a cup game, which one's not. And as far as bringing the European teams in, I'm not a fan of doing that during the regular season. If you want to have a separate tournament after the season, have it in the summer. You know, have it in July or whatever, August,
Yeah.
and make
Then
it
they
separate.
won't do that. And
Make
the
it
NBA
separate,
players.
or
Yeah.
you're going to have to do like the NHL, and you're going to have to shut the league down for 2 weeks if the games don't count, because you still have to play an 82-game season. And so
Right.
with these guys getting the wear and tear that they're getting, you have the Olympics is every 4 years, and we just had a whole bunch of guys play. So I'm not a fan. I understand what Joe Mazzulla is trying to do so that the games don't count, but I don't like that, because now you're making these guys play an extra
No.
5, 6, 8, 10
Yeah.
games,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they don't count for anything except winning some stupid cup. And God forbid a high guy that makes a huge salary, whether it's Tatum, Brown, LeBron, whoever, pick kid in Milwaukee, like one of those guys is making $300 million a year, and they're playing this stupid tournament in November and December, and the games don't count. And does like Gordon and dislocates his ankle, and he's done for the year. You're screwed.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm gonna just leave it, and then before I move on, I'm just leaving one thought on this and say I love it. I think you guys got that. I love it because of one simple fact: you get to see these European players who are getting better and better every year. Very soon, and like we saw in this past Olympics, the United States is not going to be a cakewalk to the gold medal. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think the U.S. is going to win the gold medal next time they play because the competition is getting too stiff because these European players. These players from all over the world, they're getting a lot better. And as you can see, a lot more of them are getting in the draft every single year. But Steve, we
Wasn't
got
it France? Wasn't it France that gave the U.S. a hard time until Curry hit that
France,
shot? Was it them?
Angola, Spain, those three teams, and now there's a team in Africa that the guy from Africa who played in the NBA, I forgot his name. He was the head coach of them. That team was really good too. They almost upset the U.S. the very first game of the the Olympic run. They almost got that upset, and those guys was playing really good. And they all were like 6'9", 6'10", all lanky, huge wingspan. These guys were really, really good. And they were being coached by a former and managed by a former NBA player, and I can't remember his name now. Now I brought it up. All right, so Steve, give me the poll questions and stuff like that. So and then let's do the picks and let's get this show on the road.
There
So
was only one poll question, and it was with Linus Ullmark returning to Boston. Who you got, Swayman or Ullmark? That
who
was the
you got?
question. It was a 50-50 split.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for Ullmark because I just had a feeling that the Bruins were going to lay an egg somewhere along the line. I didn't know they were going to get no shots in the game, but I had a feeling he would come back and beat them, and he did.
All right, so let's do the picks because I don't see the picks up here. I don't even remember how many picks I got right or wrong, but
You want? All right, so we're going to do the picks. Of course, wait a minute. Let's
well, if
see.
you don't,
Your picks last week, you got 7 right, 7 wrong.
yep.
Kev got 9 right and 5 wrong, and I got 9 right, 5 wrong.
Yeah, I think
So
he copied you, but that's okay.
No, he didn't actually. He had a few that were different than me.
I'm just giving him a hard time. Giving him a hard time.
That's all right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. I've been killing it for the last probably 3 or 4 weeks now. So
you have been. Maybe you should put some money on it.
no, that definitely won't work. That will backfire. The second I put a penny on any of these games, I'm going to lose my shirt.
That's the
It
same
never
thing I
works.
believe. That's the same thing I believe. But this
It
from
never
moving
works.
forward, from this point on, moving forward, I'm going to go with my mind. I'm going to get back to being Swami because I've been saying, okay, the upset, upset, upset. You know what I mean? That's what my whole thing is. And I'm going to go on the record right now. My game of the week that I'm interested in watching this week is going to be the Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Bills are going to finally take them out because the Kansas City Chiefs should have lost. I would have been right about that game last week if they were able to kick the field goal and actually score. I would have won that one. But obviously Kansas City won because of the blocked field goal. But they're playing worse and worse every week. I don't see how they beat the Bills. The Bills are playing much better, and I think they're getting Amari Cooper back. So my so-called the people are calling it. That's the one everybody's calling. But a lot of people are picking the Bills too. So we'll see. But that's my interesting pick of the week. On the record, I think the Rams are going to literally blow the Patriots out, but we'll see. I think, but the Rams. I'm on the record right now saying the Rams are going to beat the Patriots. I'm on the record now for that. And it was there any interesting thing that we said for the week? Anything that we said for the week that came out last week? Anything?
So last week, I'll go with mine. I said that the Bruins were going to trade somebody significant from the roster, and I picked Brandon Carlo. That did not happen.
Okay.
Wrong again.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Kansas City was finally going to lose, and wrong.
Yeah. Close, but nope.
You said that Dallas was going to lose and fire the head coach and hire Belichick, and they did lose, but they didn't fire the coach and hire Belichick. That would have been amazing if you would have had Swami squared if you got that right. You said that the Lions were going to keep chugging along. You were right. They came back. I can't believe they won that game. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions and they still won. How the hell they did that? I went to sleep at the halftime when Houston was winning 23-7. I was like, all right, I can't stay awake anymore. I'm done. I wake up, I find out they lose. I'm like, all right, whatever. I had my predictions here for this week on this sheet, and now I don't see them. So the one that I had that I definitely remember is I'm going to pick the Bears to upset the Packers this week.
The Bears to upset the Packers. No. I just thought about Caleb Williams and that offensive line. Nope, that's not going to happen. Not even close. Right, actually, I think the Packers are going to blow them out. All right. So, what interesting thing that you have, or what do you think that something off the wall is going to happen between this week and next week? What shocking news item do you think is going to happen there? Whether it's the game, whether it's not a game, anything interesting?
What do you want to bet if Mike Tyson bites what's his name's ear off in the fight tomorrow?
He's not going to do that.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you want to? Yeah, let's talk about that real fast. We got 60 seconds. Well, Tyson or Jake Paul? Who you got?
I want to pick Mike Tyson because I want to see him win. But man, I just see him doing something off the wall, messed up, really? And not winning. I want him to win.
I want him to win too, and because he boxed for so many years, and Jake Paul's only been fighting for 4 years, and he hasn't even really been fighting professionals, for 4. He's been fighting pros for a year and a half. I'm going to take experience. You know what I mean? And Mike at half is going to still be better than Jake at full strength. So I got Mike Tyson. Honestly, I got
I
Tyson.
find that these guys, they tie each other up, and there's not as many punches thrown as you want, and it doesn't end up being, the hype doesn't
Right.
equate to what it should be. I'm hoping it's the opposite. I'm hoping Tyson knocks him out, early, even if it's in the first round, and just to
Right.
your point, the experience is there and the explosion is there, and you see it, and you don't see you don't see a washed up 50,
Yeah,
60,
but you do
70-year-old guy.
see age. I've been watching I watched the 3 episodes on Netflix of the documentary of them gearing up to the fight. I watched them. Well, actually watched 2.5. I fell asleep on the last one. It was boring to me, the last one, but because it was getting repetitive. But my point is, you could see, age setting in on him. You know what I mean? Like he's starting to look like
He
he's
should.
not.
He's our age, Frank. He's in his late
Yeah, that's what I
50s. I
mean.
mean,
But if he hadn't had those issues he had, and he hadn't taken so much drugs, and he hadn't been so much, I shouldn't say he took drugs. I don't know for certain that he's been doing that. But his spleen, or was something happened, internally. Yeah, he was in the hospital. If that hadn't happened, everything else, I don't even think it'd be close. I think it'd be a first round knockout. Now I'm not so sure. I still think he's gonna beat him, but I think he's gonna probably get him in like the second round. Maybe I don't see it going the distance. That's basically I don't see it going. So there it is. That's my pick for the week. My strange pick of the week. I don't even know what I want to call it. My Swami call. My Swami call. And I think that's it. I think it's because I don't have any other thing. I don't have any other thing I want to talk about. I didn't focus on the games the way I wanted to the last week, and then sit there and write. Ooh, I think this is gonna happen. Ooh, I see this guy getting fired. I didn't do that this week. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna bring that back. My predictions. I'm gonna bring my predictions back next week. You got any last one before we roll up out of here, Steve?
yeah. I don't think the Patriots are going to beat the Rams, but I'll take a wild stab and say that the new defensive lineman they picked up last week gets a sack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that happen. I can see that happen. Yeah, I can see that happen. But the Rams are going to blow the Patriots out because Jared Goff is going to have him. He's going to have
It's not Jared Goff. It's
not Jared Goff.
Matthew Stafford.
Stafford's going to have a bounce back game because the last game he had, when I watched that game, he wasn't playing his best at all. He just didn't look good.
Well,
You
their
know?
offensive line's hurting a little bit, and that's part of it. So,
Yeah, it is.
but they still have way more weapons than the Patriots do, and I hope it's not a blowout. I hope they can keep it close, but
Listen, I
you're
hope
going to be
so
able to
too.
tell right away it's 10-14 nothing, then it's going to be over. So,
Yeah, listen, I hope so too. I hope it's going to be close. Hell, I hope the Patriots win. I just don't think they're going to. You know what I mean? So, all right, so guys, thank you all for watching. This is the show called Boston Straight Shooters, where we talk about Boston sports. We talk about the Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, Boston Red Sox, and the New England Patriots, whether we want to talk about any of them or not. That's where we get the conversation at. My name is Frank. I am one of the co-hosts. Negative Ned is the other co-host. Negative Ned, take us home.
all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for the commentary. Thanks for the support. And be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.